Border expert Tom Trento exposes treasonous activity, destruction, and atrocities at the southern border on this episode of United Patriots Uprising with Gary Binford. I'm your host, Gary Binford. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Hope you'll subscribe to it, leave a rating and a review, and be sure to tell your friends about the show. Treasonous activity? Destruction? Atrocities? Really? And if so, why aren't the mainstream media and our politicians on both sides of the aisle talking about and dealing with this? Sadly, they won't. But my guess will. So let's get into it. He's a border expert, a highly skilled debater, and a dynamic public speaker who has earned degrees in law enforcement, theology, and philosophy from 3 different institutions. He's a co-author of the book Sharia, The Threat to America, and a producer of the new 10-episode documentary series, Death County and the River of Broken Dreams. The director of the United West and CEO of Defend the Border. I welcome to the show, Mr. Tom Trento. Tom, how are you?
Hey, finally we get together, Gary. I'm doing great. Finally,
your whole crew, between Michelle Terrace, Tom Homan, and Van, everybody, Claire Lopez, and I'm just waiting, and it finally got you off the border long enough or out of wherever you've been to get you in front of a microphone.
And who knows? You may get thrown off the air permanently after we do this show. Who knows?
Well, you know what? If I haven't been thrown off yet, it's going to be hard considering the type of guests I get put on. But the type of guests I put on are the type of guests that in a country that has lost its mind, these are the type of people that'll get you thrown off the air because you're going to speak truth. And along those lines, before we get into the film, your organizations and what you do, I want to bring the listening audience to the southern border right up close and personal. Please tell us 2 things about the conditions and situations there that Americans need to know about that they have no clue about.
The 2 words that all your listeners should get out of this is treason and destruction of America. This open border is a treasonous activity on the part of Biden. And if it's not controlled, it will destroy America as we know it. It'll be a different country.
Okay. Now, as you say, so you said one word is treason and the other word is
destruction.
Okay, please explain to people the destruction, because to me, Tom, this isn't rocket science. If you leave a border open, anybody can come across. Little old ladies can come across. People that want to work can come across. But terrorists can come across. Drug lords can come across. Disease can come across. Everybody knows about the Trojan horse. Come on. And what I find interesting, they want to close us up, shut us down for, their virus and all their little stuff. Yet they leave the border open. I thought they're so concerned about this virus and everything.
Well, I'm glad we have a little time to work through this stuff. You used 2 words when you started. You said lost their mind. I guess that's 3 words, lost their mind. And you used the word truth. I wrote my master's thesis on the concept of truth. And unequivocally, if you follow the canons of logic, Aristotelian logic, you can definitively, without question, conclude the left, the people supporting Joe Biden and his policies, have lost their logical mind. And what is it? What is the upshot of that? Well, they're not dealing with a coherent and consistent framework of ideas. And the consequences of that are ultimately destruction of whatever if they were the pilots of your airplane and they function like they're functioning on the border, I wouldn't fly in it because it's going to crash. Pretty simple.
Right. Well, see, you said something about truth, but let's think about this. To me, the truth of the matter is They haven't really lost their minds. They're just doing what the Marxist communist plan has always been. This is how you take over a country. And this is intentional. That border is openly intentional. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they want. They want voters and they want other things. You know, there are people that want child trafficking. There are people that want what's going on in fentanyl and things to come across the border. So what I think we have to let America know, this isn't an accident. This is actually on purpose, right?
Well, you make an extremely good point, and I need to qualify for your listeners. When I say they lost their mind, I am assuming, and I won't assume any longer, I'll state that there is a definitive benchmark that exists in the United States. Once you go beyond that, then you have lost your mind. And here's what I mean. That benchmark is we have to think logically, and we have to think because we are the people of the United States of America, and we're grounded and founded in a series of documents that we pledge allegiance to. Once we leave that benchmark, then we have lost our mind as it relates to maintaining the principles of a constitutional republic. So if we go over to the other side, the dark side, where our mind is different, then what kind of mind do we have? Well, you hit the nail on the head. We have a neo-Marxist kind of hipster philosophy being implemented. And let's go to Marx for a minute. Karl Marx was infamous for his view that there ought not be any personal ownership of private
property, right?
Which is
owned by the state. The state.
Well, extrapolate for a moment that concept, and he also applied it to whether or not countries have the right to have borders delineating and defining their private property, public property. And it's very easy to make the jump over to say, well, a country shouldn't have borders. And that's the globalist mentality. You lose your mind when you become a globalist. That's the globalist mentality that's taking place. But you're right. These people haven't lost their mind. They adopted a new mind that's antithetical to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Gary and Tom's mind. Completely opposite.
And it's antithetical to God because God is about freedom and they're about bondage. Now, you know, you were ready to say something. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I haven't brought religion into this yet. That's not
right. That's not religion. See, God is not religion to me. God is God. Religion is man-made.
I haven't brought God into this yet. There's a whole nother. Now, once the folks argue at this level, you could ground the whole thing in the imago Dei, the fact that we have in us the image of God. That's a bulletproof argument that, we can't lose. If you know what you're talking about, if you're a Christian in particular, you know why you believe, and you're a constitutional advocate, you can't lose an argument in this. In fact, we're not even allowed to argue anymore because we're racist, we're lunatics, we're this, we're that. But that's the world we're in, Gary.
I hear you, Tom. And the reason I brought that in is because whether they want to admit it or not, this country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. In fact, the founding fathers said it was founded not only on Judeo-Christian principles, but on a group of people that were going to live morally. Because the Constitution is only for a moral person. They didn't create a Constitution for immoral people because obviously it couldn't operate the way it does. And when you look at all your Ivy League schools like Harvard and Princeton and Yale and everything, go back and look at the names of the school, what their crest was. They're all religious schools when it started out. All that is gone, but God will not be mocked. So I have to go there. Okay. Amen. Are you surprised how much this stuff is being hidden from the public? Not only by the disingenuous mainstream media, but by politicians on both sides of the aisle about what's going on down at that border.
Yeah, that's what's very, very disheartening. On July 13th of this year, Congressman Troy Nehls invited us, and that was put together by our director, Gary Burgard, who's an amazing director. He lives in Texas. Congressman Troy Nehls sponsored showing of Death County to the U.S. Congress. And even though there was some late votes, Congressman Nels couldn't get his own Texas Republican. Forget about the Democrats. They ain't coming near this subject. Nels couldn't get his own delegation, Republican Congress people from Texas, to come to the screening of a movie featuring Tom Homan shot in Texas. Unbelievable.
Well, why is this being kept from us? Not just the film, but why is the whole border thing? It's amazing that you watch and you look at the filming and you look Fox News and Newsmax every now and then all over the internet. You can see what's coming across. You can see what's going on. And it's amazing to me that we're allowing this. Why?
Well, the Democrats have an epithumia, Greek term, a lust, an undying, unmitigated desire for power. And they realize their political philosophy, their policies are not working. So they are adjusting. They believe they found the Achilles heel of the Judeo-Christian conservative movement, abortion. And you saw what just happened in Ohio, that big rally. So they think abortion can defeat the Republicans. And you see it all over the place. How come they're not using their political view of the border to ram and jam us like they are with abortion? Because they know it's a losing argument for them. I don't care who you are. When you look at thousands of crazy military-age men running across, giving a finger to the flag, cursing, Viva Mexico, Viva Uruguay, you go, what is this? What the hell is this? And the Democrats don't want to lead with the abortion, so they are in cahoots with the techno corporate world and the media, and as a result, I got the room I'm in, the Alexis or whatever is talking. Shut up, Alexis, or whatever your name is.
She listened to you.
Name? Is it Alexis?
Plug in the Echo device.
Echo. Shut up, Echo. All right.
There you go.
Repeated Echo. So they're not leading.
Try that with Biden, Harris, Pelosi shift in the
Shut up.
And all these crazy. Okay, go ahead.
No. That'd be good. That'd be a good magical superhero power. Now, look, they know the border issue is not a winning issue for them, so they suppress it, and the media suppresses it. But when there's something crazy, they may cover it for 30 seconds or so. Now, why? Well, they need to have power in 2024. The border's a losing issue for them. They suppress it, but at the same time, they get that clown. He's an absolute clown, Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of Homeland Security. And the border is sealed. It's closed. All they did, Gar, was open the existing portals for entry wider to let anybody in. And they say, oh, look, legal entry. They're just not even applying the law to people entering there. Why? They want to, first of all, they want to control all these brown people like they did in the 1860s. And they know if they subjugate the brown people to the needs of the Democrat Party, they will forcibly, by coercion, have a voting bloc starting in about 5 years for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Tom, watching what's happened at the border, the one thing that surprises me that Americans aren't understanding. Back in the day, when you came to this country, you came because you wanted to be an American. You came because you wanted to assimilate, and you just could. I know so many people that could not wait until they became an American citizen, couldn't wait until they could say the Pledge of Allegiance and it mattered. But when you're watching people coming across now, they're coming across with the flag of this country, the flag of it. They're coming on these huge flags of another. Where's the American flag? What flag's that? What hat's that you got? What are you draping yourself in coming across our border? This is please explain this to me. Why people aren't looking and saying there's something wrong with this picture.
Well, as you know, the United West, and we started back in 2006, and we made our bones on fighting the jihadis and aggressively confronting them, exposing them, however we could legally. That was what we did, and about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, we saw, and we go back and forth to Israel to study anti-terrorism stuff. We saw the southern border was becoming a sieve that was very open to evil people from Islamic countries coming in to hurt us. So we said, all right, we got to shift our focus there, do that, and start exposing all of this. So we said, and we ran into Tom Homan 2 years ago, and a book he had just written. And I said, Tom, if people knew what you knew, we can close this. We want to do a story about you. We've got to take the truth, let people see it, and then they'll go, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So we made the first of 10 episodes. And when people watch it, they go, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And then we enlist them in our grassroots movement to educate Americans to vote intelligently for pro-border security politicians in November 2024. That's the comprehensive nature of what we're doing. But it went back to solving the problem of how do we tell the people that Mexicans and others are running across the border, waving their own flags, planting their flag, not to assimilate, but to dominate in some capacity.
There you go. So let's talk about that. Tell us about the making of the documentary, which you and your team produce at Defending the Border and Save Lives, which is a nonprofit national grassroots project established to raise awareness, as you just said, about border safety through online and in-person events and videos. Tell them about it, because everybody knows Tom Homan's been on the show 3 times. Obviously, most people would know him as the former head of ICE, and he's been very involved down at the border. And tell us why you thought his story would be something that would resonate with people and hopefully open a door here and close the border there.
Yeah, it was a providential. You as a believer understand the term providential. I was asked to speak at an event, Michelle Terrace's event, September 2021 for the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And ironically, I contracted COVID. It is a real virus. It has crazy symptoms. I got it a second time too. I was not vaccinated, and I'm so glad I wasn't. But a month later, October of 2021, because I missed the September engagement, they asked if I'd moderate for Tom Homan, and I said sure. So he gave his presentation. I moderated. We hit it off. I got his book. I read his book. And he struck me as a guy, and this is what strikes me about President Trump, a guy who loves America, absolutely loves America, and will put God, country, God, family, country in that order, and that's the people I hang around with. So I said, Tom, your story, you were a beat cop in upstate New York.
New York, right.
You got on the border, and 35 years, you started working for President Reagan. You worked for 6 presidents. Obama gave you an award. Trump gave you an award. You got a Hollywood movie star. Him, nobody, whatever. I said, we could take you, man, make you a star. And why? He goes, I don't want to be a star. I said, your story needs to be
story, right.
Yeah. And I went and got my good friend, Chris, who's a filmmaker. And we went down to the Texas border for several weeks and Washington, D.C. And the script was simple: an investigative report exposing Joe Biden's open border policies. So we cover a whole area, obviously the drug smuggling, drug trafficking. Smuggling is taking an item from one country, bringing it to another. You drop it off. Trafficking is taking an item from one country, Mexico, bringing it into the United States and making money from it. It's recurring revenue. And we exposed in Death County and the River of Broken Dreams, the fact that the cartels, Gary, listen to this. This is crazy. The cartels were doing about $1 billion a year in drug trafficking. Dump their fentanyl, dump their cocaine, and boom, that drug is used up. It's gone. You got to put some more. Then they realized we can take a little 12, 13, 14-year-old girl from Guatemala and some screwball guys will use her at 10 o'clock in the morning, pay for her at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, pay for her at 6 o'clock, pay for her at midnight. The cartel said, these little things, their chattel, their tools, their recurring revenue, they make us money more than drugs. The cartels are now doing because of Biden's policies. Trump and Homan stopped this. They're now doing $1 billion a month in human sexual trafficking of children.
This is terrible. It's absolutely terrible that this is going on. And, we had part of your crew on recently, had Claire Lopez on it. She was talking about the rape trees where, if they rape people, they were hanging the panties on trees and stuff and talking about it's a two-way thing. Not only, that the story not only tells about the people that are coming in illegally, but the hordes that don't make it, that are buried someplace. What when you really started to get involved with what's going on at that border, what was it that you didn't know that you found out? Was there something that really, really surprised you about the horrific stuff going on down there?
Yeah, I was surprised. The trip, one of the trips was 2019, I think, to Cochise County in Arizona. Sheriff Mark Daniels, and I took 4 or 5 of my guys, and we embedded with him for about a week, and they cover 83 miles on the border in Arizona, and we made a bunch of videos on it. You have me standing in front of the big fence, the big wall, and looking at it, and I go, there's nobody can get over this thing, man. This thing is gigantic. Nobody can get over it. Look, Trump even welded sheet metal, steel on top of it. And as I'm talking, I'm moving to the right, and then I go, well, maybe they don't have to. And I take a step, and there's no wall anymore. There's just not there.
Right. It's just
and I go, you got to be kidding me. And there's so many porous areas. Number one, that was mind-boggling with all the money we've spent in the Middle East and, now the Ukraine. The other issue that jumped out was the innovative, never die, never get up, fight the friggin' federal government, screw them, we're going to protect our people attitude of the border sheriffs as they innovatively created very amazing techniques to catch these guys and either lock them up or deport them for good and keep them out of coming in their sectors. It was refreshing to see what these good cops can do when the federal government is telling them not to do anything.
I hear you. How dangerous is it? Several people have asked me to come down there. Several people. I just got asked recently. Ann Vandersteel said, come on down. I'm like, I don't want to go down there. What Mother Claire, come on down. We're down here. Yeah, okay, I'll see you there. No, really, all jokes aside, how dangerous is it? Well, because hold on because as I said, I've had a lot of people on who from different organizations who have been down there and they've talked about the bodies and the cartels and the machine gun, the cartel and avoiding the cartels and the guys in the Jeeps with the guns and all this stuff.
Well, if you're in Long Island, most likely you're going to fly. So you're going to have to go to LaGuardia or JFK or something. Where would you fly out of?
I could fly out of Kennedy or JFK. Kennedy or LaGuardia. Doesn't matter.
Well, if you got a little extra time, you want to go to Manhattan for dinner or something.
No. I'll just come down there because I love Mexican food. So,
well, if you went to Manhattan for dinner, your life is more in danger in Manhattan than if you went with Ann Vandersteel on her crew.
Really?
Crew. Oh, really? She's got 20 guys with heavy weaponry around them.
Whoa. What does that say if you have to? Look, I used to be in the music business. I used to manage a recording artist, and I had contemporary jazz flautists and some R&B singers. And a couple rappers came and asked me to check them out. And I went to the Apollo Theater to a concert. And I'm backstage. There are more guns back there than the police department. And I said, this is not for me. If she's got 20.
But yes, there are. You can't go walking alone at certain areas day or night. Of course not. But the trips that people are taking to show VIPs, like you'd be a VIP, there's very, very little danger. Now, sadly, you can't work with the feds because they have prohibited that. But any of us can get you in with a sheriff's department, and you would travel with the sheriff for the day and do an interview and all that. You'd be very, very safe, and you should do it. It makes great. It's a great interview.
Okay, now that aside, how dangerous is it for people like you and Claire and Ann and Tom and everybody that's really got the boots on the ground?
Yeah, if you're screwing around at night, it's very dangerous. Again, certain areas, daytime, not that dangerous because you go normally to the areas that are under patrol. You don't go into the areas where there's 30 miles or 20 miles between patrols. That makes no sense to do that. You'll run into people that are dangerous along those lines. So like anything else, if I went to school in Chicago, I'm not going to certain parts of Chicago ever, whether I'm carrying a gun or not. It ain't happening. Same thing when you go there. We'd show you where to go. That's safe to get the mission done.
I hear you. Now, I found out in talking to Tom before we started this interview that not only did we both graduate high school the same year, but we were both raised 10 miles apart. I was raised in Summit, New Jersey. He was raised in Newark, New Jersey before his father got him out of there before high school. So please tell us about your upbringing, your background. Were you always a conservative, and how did you get involved in activism? Because I was a Democrat till I was 47 years old. Black, what did I know better? They're the party that represents us, whatever us is. And I always, little people. And then I became a born again Christian. I said, whoa. And that flipped really quickly. But I was 47.
Well, all of us, who in New Jersey wasn't a Democrat, right? Especially in those days. And my family was very, very involved. I grew up in Tony Soprano's neighborhood. Where that stuff actually happened. We're Sicilians. My grandparents came over from Sicily, and I had the honor of being at Ellis Island a few years ago. And I don't know if you've been there, Gary, but they have this.
No, I haven't.
They've redone everything, but they maintain the existing original stairs, 12 stairs that go down and 12 that come up. And they're about 8 feet wide. They're made out of granite, and they're all worn down. I got goosebumps because if your ancestors came in, they went down, up and down those stairs, and it was just pretty cool to see that. So I grew up in New Jersey, Catholic family, Catholic Italian family. I believed in God. Got in high school, God went into the trunk of my car when I needed a flat tire. I pulled God out. He would be my flat tire repair guy. Any problem I had, then when it's over, I put him back. I get to college. I had kind of a dual pull in my life. You grow up where all the racketeers are, and you see the caddies, and you kind of move in that direction. But I also had a sense of justice, and I wanted to go into the FBI. So I went to school to study law enforcement, did a degree in that. And during that, as a bit of a screwball, frat boy, I got involved, not willingly, in a Bible study in my frat house. So, and ours was Animal House down in Toms River, New Jersey. And after weeks of arguing with this little minister guy, because I was a pretty good arguer, and he answered all my questions. All the tough questions I had, he answered. Then he starts asking me questions, I had no answers.
No answers.
No answers. And I'm a very logical person, and I got to see stuff. And basically, one or two of my friends did this crazy thing and gave their life to Jesus. I thought they flipped out. And then all the pieces came together. And I remember saying, if I do what they're saying to do, give your life to Jesus, I'm giving up a penny and I'm gaining $1 million.
Amen. And eternal life.
And that was 1972. And I said, all right, if the sense of justice, I want to enforce the law, I need to study God's law. So I went to Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.
Very good school. Right.
And then from there, I was going to go to law school. And I got involved in a course called apologetics.
Mm-hmm.
I went to seminary in Denver to become an apologist. And in Denver, I started a little Christian activism organization, 1980, and it's the same exact 501c3 that I run right now. All these years, I've been running the same thing. This is what I do. I fight bad guys and try to tell the truth and defend the truth of Jesus Christ.
I hear you, and amen for that. And God bless you that you got saved. You beat me to the punch. You were 72. I was 1997. It took a while.
You know, but did people, certainly before you were 47, they'd say, hey, man, dude, you got to give your life to Jesus. What did you say?
Okay, I thought I had given my life to Jesus because I grew up in the quote unquote black church. And I had everybody telling you that, you know, you can have the world and Jesus. You know, I was involved. I was a sports writer for Newsday and the New York Daily News for a lot of years. I was a big party guy. And I was big. And then I got in the music business, and I was, you know, like you almost, you know, God, you put him had him in the trunk of your car. You know, I had him when I went to church on Sunday, and then the other 6 days were mine. But that changed. But and the thing is, I think like with you and me, once I really realized that I was lost and needed a savior, I really got immersed in it. But in fact, the greatest thing that I ever ended up doing was teaching Sunday school at a church out here in Syosset, age 7 to 12. It was the greatest. I did that for several years. It was the most gratifying thing I ever did, just to hear God on Sunday after those lessons say, well done, good and grateful servant. You know, so amen, that we found that the truth and the light of what true life is about. And this is part of it too, because God through Christ gave us a free country. We want to keep it free, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can develop this, but look, for everybody listening, you're hearing both of us coming from the same state, but going different directions. But we're both talking about this one person, Jesus Christ. And whoever out there is listening, I know, Gary, there's people that were like us on just, you know, the Holy Spirit was pulling, but they were fighting back. Hey, give Gary a call, give me a call. We'll tell you there's no looking back, man. Once you make a decision to follow Christ, it's not a perfect life, but you have a perfect person with you to make it through that life. And Gary, I bring a lot of people to Israel, you know, national security tours, but we always go to the Jordan. Whoever wants to get baptized, I'll baptize them, or Kevin Sorbo's with me, whomever. And you ought to come on our trip next year, and you've already been baptized, but you can make a recommitment of your life in that Jordan River, man. Then your life is complete.
Michelle Terrace tried to get me to go with you guys on this last trip, you know, and I don't know. You guys you had enough people. I think you ran out of people that you had. So like Kevin was there because Kevin Sorbo's been on the show twice. So you had him with you on the trip?
We had two trips. We had, and I was on both of them. We had a 2-week trip with only Christians, and there were 80 people. And Sorbo, he and Sam, right. They were the hosts. And then we had the national security one, where Jexit, Michelle, and United West hosted. We had 50 people on that. Yeah, that was maxed out. Actually, 60 people. Yeah, we maxed that out. Well, but there's next year, man. You come.
Yeah, because I really do. I want to go I want to go and see where my Lord and Savior. I want to see. I want to go to the seas. I want to be in the area. I really want to see because, see, to me, I have gone every place that I basically wanted to go. Believe it or not, the one place when I was a sports writer, the one place I really wanted to go, I have no idea why I had a fascination with the Alamo. So when I finally got to San Antonio with the Knicks, and I go to see the Alamo, and I'm like, this is it, because they didn't enshrine it. Of course, it's all broken down, and there's some cannons and Bowie's knife is in there. There's stuff around, but there was a Woolworths across the street. They didn't enshrine it. It's like on a street corner. I'm saying, this is it. This is all I see. So no, I definitely, Israel is I don't want to do a bucket list, but if right now, if you ask where would I want to go, that I still would like to do that. So we'll take that up again. Tom, before we go, and thank you for coming on and giving us this time, please tell people who aren't involved, please tell people who are listening to this that aren't activists, that are just hardworking, God-fearing, or people who love America, what they can do to get involved to try and help keeping this country from this, what I would call communist invasion.
I'm a firm believer that education, information, properly communicated, creates a movement in the brain and the psyche and the soul of human beings. And that movement is positive because they're going in the direction of that which is true. So if you provide information and it starts going into their brain, then all of a sudden they become self-motivated. They don't need external motivation. Hey, go do something. Go do this. They don't need that. They've been internally motivated by having an experience with that which is true. Then they're at a point where they go, what do I do with this? Now you have to activate them. And there's nothing more beautiful than a person who has been motivated by the truth, who sees a responsibility to position them in an area that satisfies their spiritual gift and their desire to help other human beings. In this context, we have a comprehensive program. We have a man, Tom Homan. We have a movie, Death County and the River of Broken Dreams. It's about a county in Texas, 70 miles north of the border, where people are dying every day to make that trek. The River of Broken Dreams, Rio Grande River. And we have a movement. So the movement is, once you get exposed to the material and you study and you talk with us, you want to do something, we sign you up and we're going to train you, educate you to get involved in teaching others so that we have a pass-fail on Tuesday, November 5, 2024. The goal of this whole thing is to elect constitutionally based pro-border security politicians all over the place, particularly a president. Otherwise, we're doomed. So to do that, go to our website, defendtheborder.org, defendtheborder.org. It's the name of Tom's book. Watch the movie. It's right there for free, Death County and the River of Broken Dreams. Join us, contact us. We'll be in touch with you. And if people can donate, that's great. We're a C3. We're looking particularly, Gary, we're looking, a friend of mine, Barry, came on these trips with us and died a year ago. And you remind me of him, but you're
right. Now you want me to come on the trip, right? Okay.
You know what happened? It's very, very sad.
Really?
He spilled out of. He died of a fentanyl overdose, believe it or not. Very, very sad situation. But we're looking for individuals to be executive producers with us to put in money, and we'll take them on the border and make them part of the whole movie. And so contact us at defendtheborder.org.
Thank you very much for that. And before I ask you to tell people about United West and Defend the Border and where they can reach you, you brought up one question I wanted to ask before. And you can address this for the American people, because to me, this is a duh. Don't the American people realize that the very people that want open borders They have borders around their places. Nancy Pelosi has a border around hers. You know, you have Catholic Charities helping they're helping place these people. There's a border around the Vatican. There's borders around. They all live in gated. Oh, but no. You got to have that. Don't people see the hypocrisy of this?
That goes back to how we started this, where they lost their logical mind and they do not see that they're violating their own viewpoint. I have a good friend down here. He's almost 90 years old. He's an activist, South Florida, and he goes to these gated communities. He actually put a form together and passed it out where it had all the residents signing. Nobody signed it, but it said, "We want to be a community supporting the global movement. Therefore, we're gonna take the front gate down to our gated community and remove it. We're gonna invite the world's community into our gated community. We're opening our clubhouse and our swimming pool to anyone who wants to come in." He tells all these people to sign this thing. They go, "You friggin' kidding me? Are you nuts?" Then he goes, "People, what do you think you're doing to our border?" Mm-hmm. And he created an existential crisis, and the people go, now you would think an honest person would go, you know what, you got a good point. I need to rethink my view. They just say, F you, you're a racist. He's a Jewish guy, right? You're a racist, you're this. That's how they lost their logical mind. And look, we have two countries within America right now, Gary. I think everybody sees that. Biden gets reelected again. We're going to have a bifurcation of this country that is going to result in dark trouble on the southern border, because those border sheriffs and those border communities are not going to allow Joe Biden to bring 7 more million people in. There's going to be problems and bloodshed down there. People trying to protect America when the federal government won't. We got to move. We have to be victorious on the 5th of November, 2024.
I hear you, Tom, and I'm going to take a shot at this. Is your 90-year-old friend, is his initials SS?
No, but he's
Steve Stern.
He is tremendous. This is Alan Bergstein.
Oh, okay, yeah, because Steve Stern has been on the show, and he's Jewish, and he's older, and I'm saying, I don't know if Steve would be going around door to door doing that.
That guy wears me out, man. He has
Stern wears you energy. Out?
Oh, he's got so much energy.
All over the place.
Unbelievable. God bless.
He'll be emailing me. I'm on this show. I'm on that. Hey, I'm on with Bannon. I'm on with that. I said, Steve, where do you find time to do all this?
He contacted me today. You know, he contacts me all the time. He's part of our team.
I know.
It's guys like that. Yeah, you and I are the same age. And it's guys like that, almost 20 years older than us, still kicking ass.
And big time.
And you go, I got aches and pains for all my stupid things I did all my life, and I go, I can't stop. When Steve Stern or Alan Bergstein stop, then I'll stop.
And you'll stop. Well, I'll stop when God just puts me, takes me home. But until then, I will continue to fight the good fight. Tom, please tell people how to reach you and anything else you'd like to promote.
Yeah, go to Defend the Border. Very simple, defendtheborder.org. Everything is there, the whole campaign. It should be your go-to place on the border. You can contact me through there. And again, we exist on donations. Anyone could help. I'm a fighter, not a fundraiser. But and shows like this. I mean, you've been doing for a long time. Phenomenal.
Just 3 years.
Well, 3 years.
I've been blessed to have 125 high-profile guests, and you know who some of them are in 3 years. It's a blessing.
Yeah. No. You're doing amazing work.
Thanks.
And Claire, you got to get on Gary's show. You got to get on. I said, yeah. I know. But I'm glad we did it, man, for sure.
I am too, because everybody, Michelle Terrace, Claire, everybody, has been saying, and time is everything. So I'm glad you came on now, because this is a good time, because a lot of people are starting to wake up and realize, hey, I don't like what I see. because they've had 2.5 years of this stuff or a little bit more, and it's the stench is starting to go up the nostrils. I hope this is going to lead to the right voting. Of course, if we can keep the election from, the election integrity, that issue. And when we bring you back, we could talk about that.
I'll make you one offer. You ready for this?
I'm listening.
Next time I go to Jersey, and I go, once or twice a year, I still have relatives up there. I'll call you. You meet me on Bloomfield Avenue in Newark, in the old neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And my friend, whose father had his store, is running Bloomfield Avenue and 6th Street, Dickie D's. You can look it up. Dickie D's, the best Italian hot dogs in the world, the best ones. We'll meet there. I'll buy you lunch at Dickie D's in Newark, New Jersey.
You got it. But when you said the best Italian, I thought you were going to say cioppino, because I love Italian food, but I'm a cioppino, lobster, shrimps, clam, mussel, and a garlic sauce. I thought you were going to hit me with but you got to hit me with a Jersey hot dog. But that would be cool.
Man.
I'm down for it. Okay.
We start there.
You got it. Hey, tell the crew I said hi, and thank you for coming on. Everybody, Tom Trento.
Thank you, Gary.
I want to thank Tom Trento for his dedication and his courage to dive feet first into a critical situation that many people aren't even aware of. A country without borders isn't a country, folks. We've got to get this situation under control before it's too late. So thanks again to Tom and his crew for what they do and their willingness to put it over the airwaves in the hopes that we, the people, will listen, rise up, and handle our business. This podcast is available for download at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Hope you'll subscribe to it, leave a rating and a review. And be sure to tell your friends about the show. If you're a first-time listener, hope you'll check out the podcast archive located on the page. All previous episodes are there, featuring high-profile guests, including Kevin Sorbo, Carrie Lake, Morgan Brittany, Diamond and Silk, Tom Homan, Claire Lopez, Ann Vandersteel, Michelle Terrace, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, Monica Crowley, Ben Carson, Judge Janine Pirro, Herschel Walker. That's all for now, friends. Thanks for joining us. So until the next time, this is your host, Gary Binford, saying God bless you, God bless your families, and God, please bless America.